Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. My name is Richard Clark, and for Throwback Thursday I'm talking about my favourite films again. I'm a hypnotherapist and spiritual teacher, and also I've been a holistic therapist for 14 years. So this film I'm going to talk about is another 90s film. I like all the kind of romantic 90s films. But this film is called Meetjoeblack, and it's from 1998. And it's directed and produced by Martinbrest, who didn't really actually have many other hits apart from this. He actually unfortunately did the film Geely, which didn't do very well, as you may know. This is kind of like the flop of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. However, this film, Meetjoeblack, stars Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins and Claireforlani. Now, for British people, we know Claireforlani because Claireforlani was in a series called Press Gang, which was a children's TV show where they had this press thing, and she was and a lot of people had they liked her character, and then she actually went on to go to America and did very well. Brad Pitt, 1998, had some really big hits in the 90s, and then Anthony Hopkins, the legend he is. So it's mainly the idea of this Brad Pitt versus Anthony Hopkins kind of masterclass of acting, but Claireforlani is excellent in it. So the film is about celebrating the 61st birthday of businessman, devoted family man Bill Parrish, and he's visited by death. Now, Death, I'm going to explain who this is in a minute, but the actual screenplay was written by Bo Goldman and Kevin Wade, and it's based on the old film called Deathtakesaholiday from 1934, and then also an adaptation of the Italian film play called La Morte in Vacanza. So, what is this idea about death and how it works? But I'm going to explain the whole plot. So, the media mogul Bill Parrish is contemplating a merger with another giant. Meanwhile, his eldest daughter, Alison, Claireforlani's character, is planning an elaborate 65th birthday for him. His youngest daughter, Susan, a resident in internal medicine, has a relationship with Drew, a member of Bill's board. So Susan is actually Claireforlani's character. Macia Gay Hayden is actually Bill's oldest daughter. As Bill contemplates Suzanne's planned marriage to Drew and realises that she's not deeply in love, he suggests she waits to be swept off her feet, suggesting lightning could strike. When the company helicopter lands, he hears a mysterious voice, which he tries to ignore.
A question that is in the back of your throat, choking the blood to your brain, ringing in your ears over and over as you put it to yourself. The question? Yes, Bill. The question.
Arriving in his office, Bill has sharp pains in his chest and hears the voice again saying, yes. While studying in a coffee shop, Suzanne meets a vibrant young man. He also says lightning could strike. And
I was talking kind of loud there. I'm sorry.
Oh, not at all. It was fascinating.
Yeah, what was fascinating about it?
You and, Honey?
It's my kid's sister.
Oh.
She just broke up with her boyfriend and was thinking about dropping out of law school.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, nothing to be sorry about. That's the way it is with men and women, isn't it?
What's the way?
Nothing lasts.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Really? Why? I'm interested.
I was just trying to be agreeable.
Okay, all right. I was sharpshooter.
Oh.
No, just that nothing lasts stuff. That was the problem with Honey's guy. He didn't know what he wanted, so he's fooling around, and she catches him at it. Like one girlfriend isn't enough for him.
So you're a one-girl guy?
Yes, I am. That's right.
Right.
Looking for her right now, actually. Who knows, you might be her. Well, don't laugh. I just got into town. I got the new job. Trying to get in this apartment. Anyway, so you're a doctor.
How'd you know?
Because everyone's a doctor around here. This apartment building, everyone's in green slippers, green pajamas. The guy I'm waiting for to vacate, doctor.
He's a doctor.
What kind of doctor?
I'm a resident, internal medicine.
So if I needed a doctor, you could be it.
I could be her. Yeah.
You could be her.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I could. I'm working at the hospitals.
I see. This is a lucky day. Just get in the big bad city. Not only do I find a doctor, but a beautiful woman as well. Do you mind me saying that?
Oh, yeah, no, of course. No, it's fine. It's fine. Just...
Listen, could I buy you a cup of coffee?
I have some patients coming in, so I should probably
Yeah, I gotta
go.
get to the apartment and get off to work. I'd still like to have another cup of coffee. So let me do that?
Well, yeah, okay.
Deal.
They form a connection. Stunned, she departs without getting his name. Unbeknownst to her, directly afterwards, he is struck fatally by multiple cars. That evening, Bill hears the voice again and summons him to a room. Slowly materialising, the voice identifies himself as Death, and now inhabiting the young man's body. Now, a film which does this about the idea of Angel de Morte is actually in a film called Boom, with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. And I'll talk about that film another time, because that's interesting, though it's a bit more campy than this one. Death explains that Bill's impassioned speech to his daughter piqued his interest. Given Bill's competence, experience and wisdom, Death says that for as long as Bill will be his guide on Earth, Bill will not have to die. They both return to the dinner table, and under pressure to make an introduction, Bill creates an impromptu name for the young man, introducing his family as Joe Black. Joe Black, having no sophisticated human qualities, doesn't know how to eat or drink or to use food and utensils. He later wanders through the palatial house, learning to adapt. Susan tries to understand his intentions, noting that he seems different from the man she met in the coffee shop. But she doesn't know it's the same person. See, it's quite interesting how it's kind of like this idea. It kind of works on the idea of reincarnation and all these ideas as well. So Bill fails to keep events from going rapidly out of control. Drew secretly conspires with Parish Communications, capitalising on Bill's strange behaviour and reliance on Joe to convince the board of directors to vote Bill out as chairman. Using information from Bill's son-in-law, Quince, Drew pushes for a merger approval which Bill now opposes. Intrigued by Joe's naivety, Suzanne realises he's very different from the young man she met in the coffee shop. She falls deeply in love, while Joe is under the influence of human desires and a magnetic attraction to her, and they have sex. After they dress, Joe asks Susan, "What do we do now?" She replies, "It'll come to us." Bill inadvertently walks in and sees them kissing. Bill is now angry and confronts Joe about his relationship with his daughter. He then suggests to Susan that Joe won't be around much longer. At Susan's hospital, Joe interacts with a terminally ill woman who wishes to die to escape her constant physical pain.
Well, be evil or not evil, oh man.
And what you is then?
I from that next place.
You waiting here to take us? Like you's the bus driver to there?
No, man, I on holiday.
Some spot you pick. Oh. Pain, bad.
I don't have nothing to do with these things, you know.
Make it go away.
Doctor lady, make it die.
Not this pain. This pain go through and through me. Make it go away.
I can't, sister.
You can, mister. Take me to that next place.
It's not your time, no.
Make it time.
You can't fool with the way things got to be.
Please.
Close your eyes. Go on, sister.
She realises that Joe is part of her impending death, and this is where he's called the Obeah Man. When Joe tells her that he loves Susan, whose care she is under, they discuss the meaning of life, and she helps him understand the danger of meshing two worlds. When Joe asks if she's ready to go, she ascends and soon dies. As Bill's birthday arrives, Joe declares his intention to take Susan with him. Bill pleads with Joe to recognise the meaning of true love, especially honesty and sacrifice, and to not steal Susan's life. At the party, knowing his death is imminent, Bill makes peace with his daughters. Susan tells Joe she has loved him since the day in the coffee shop and hints that his time is coming to an end. Death, realising Susan loves this man in the coffee shop and not him, is crushed. He doesn't tell her who he really is, but she seems to intuit something mystical about his identity. Struggling to comprehend the magnitude of their attraction, Susan refuses to recognise Joe as Death. He says, "You know who I am," she sputters, "and you're Joe." And this idea is that they've always found in the coffee shop. Joe realises he must set aside his own desire and allow Susan to live her life. Quince apologises to Bill for undermining the company, and Bill forgives him. Joe helps Bill regain control of his company, exposing Drew's underhanded business dealings to the board by claiming to be an agent of the IRS and threatening to put Drew in jail. In their father-daughter dance, Susan and Bill say goodbye. Fireworks begin on a hilltop above the party. Joe waits with tears in his eyes. Bill heads up to him and they share their thoughts. Bill asks Joe if he should be afraid. He replies, "Not a man like you." As the fireworks explode in the dense distance, Susan watches Joe and her father cross the bridge and at the top of the hill and descend out of sight to the other side.
The fireworks are starting. Let's go down and watch. Shall we?
You're going ahead, honey. Just gonna catch my breath.
Susan stands stunned as Joe reappears, alone and bewildered. He is again the young man from the coffee shop, uninjured and not comprehending where he is. Susan intuits that her father is gone and that magnetism she has shared with this young man has returned. And in this, the very famous line is, "What do we do now?" she asks. "It will come to us." And with this is the idea of soulmates, true love. But I think the idea of this was a film which Brad Pitt took a role which was quite unusual for him because he was always like an action star, did Seven and some really good films at that time. But I think what this film does, it talks about the idea of how love is, how we are fearful of death, how we understand death, and it's not just the romantic idea of it, it's kind of a mystery film within that, but the spirituality ideas of it are very, very interesting. And I think as a film in the 90s, this film, people know it or they don't. It's probably one of them films that they've seen on TV once or something, but actually if you watch it, it's very interesting. The only thing I will give a bit, which made people laugh about, is when he becomes the Obeah Man in hospital. He's got this horrible patois accent, but it's quite endearing if you understand the film. But anyway, with the film, it's quite interesting, and from a spirituality point of view, it's an interesting idea of how we understand death and how that represents us and how that helps us to deal with that part in our life cycle. So anyway, meet Joe Black and see what you think.